I'm Noel with Noel's Frags, and since we're halfway through cuffing season, that's still a thing, right? I'm gonna tell you what I've been wearing, so when you bust out the old and try to get close, they're gonna like the way you smell. This is the appealing winter lineup. Sometimes I wear stuff that's like more personal or whatever. These are more crowd pleasers. If someone gets close to you, they're gonna be like, "Oh, what's going on there?" You know, Snuggle Edition. This is winter lineup Snuggle Edition. First up is L'air du désert Marocain. My French is terrible, and you already know that. But this is from Tower. Came out in 2005. It is a dry, spicy, with an air of woodsiness, embracing fragrance. It opens up with this very dry amber, and spice. You get a little bit of pepper and almost like a Smarties vibe. There's almost like a chalkiness to it. And the amber kind of dials itself back as the fragrance goes on. You're left with more of like a woodsy, spicy with like a hint of amber. It doesn't change a lot. Just a couple of notes kind of change their volume. But this is a great one for the winter. It really cuts through the cold. It's very warm and inviting. And yeah, I've been giving it some wear during this cool season. Killer longevity. This one lasts for a long time. So if you're looking for something a little spicy, a little off the beaten path, it's a little older, but it got a lot of hype the past couple of years, and everyone was just like Tower. So yeah, he's got some good offerings. I've only sampled a few, but this is the one I found bottle worthy. Next up, Black Tie from the original fragrance bro himself, Jeremy Fragrance's brand, Fragrance One. I talk about this fragrance a lot because it really is good. It was perfumed by Maria's in 2020. It opens up with this orange, patchouli, leathery thing that you've seen in a few other Maria's fragrances, but it has that Fragrance One like super ambroxany kind of sweet DNA. So it's a nice spin on a familiar formula. This is nuclear. A few sprays of this stuff and it lasts all day. I put on 4 sprays in the morning once, and then I went to work. So like 6 a.m. went to work, went to lunch, came back from lunch. It was like 2 p.m. and I took off my jacket, and my coworker was like, "Oh, did you just go drench yourself in cologne on lunch?" And I hadn't. I had just put this on at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's got killer longevity. It really pumps out there, and it's pretty much everything that Jeremy totes it to be. But I think it's more on the interesting side of the spectrum, and it's still appealing, and it's intimate, and I wouldn't say intimate. It's sexy because it's really it pumps out. You're not really doing intimate with this, but it can lead to intimate things, if you know what I mean. So, Black Tie from Fragrance One. This was a recent pickup for me because it just came out with 50 mils. This is Gallagher Fragrances Wicked Good. So, before the past few months, you could only get this in 100 milliliter, and that was just a little more than I wanted to spend, and I wasn't really going to use it because I already have too much. So when they came out with these, I think it was in November, they came out with the 50 mils of Wicked Good in November. It might have been all the 50 mils. They might have all just came out in November of 2021. And yeah, so when this came out, then they did like a sale, and I was like, all right, let's go ahead and get one of those. Actually, I think I was just too hyped for the 50 mils, and I bought it, and then they did like a Black Friday sale a couple days later, and I was like, whatever. It was worth it. Yeah, so this one opens up with like this chocolate liqueur, quickly subsiding. You lose the booze. It's like this boozy chocolate, and then the booze kind of takes a back seat. Actually, it just kind of dips. It's not there very long, maybe like 15 minutes. And then it's just this like sweet chocolatey confection thing. And then the chocolate kind of starts to dial back, and then it's more so a vanilla. But it's very much like a gourmand. It's very sweet. Not too sweet, not like sickly sweet, but it's definitely sweet. It lasts a pretty long time. Not as long as like some of the others on this list, but I'd say it gets the job done, and I catch like faint traces of it even later in the day. It doesn't really pump out as much, but it definitely, this one towards the end of its life becomes more of like a intimate, like sweet, like, ooh, what are you wearing kind of deal. So yep, wicked good from Gallagher. This one's kind of a fragcom staple and been talked about for years, but Memoirs of a Trespasser from Imaginary Authors. So this fragrance right here smells very similar to something else that's really popular, By the Fireplace. And that's from Maison Margilia's replica line. This preceded it, okay? This one came first. This is the OG. The other one came out a couple years later, so gotta give credit where credit's due. Imaginary Authors did it first. And so I own a bottle of, actually it's right here. So I own a bottle of By the Fireplace. This is on the outs. I actually talk about it in another video. This one's too sweet. And the smokiness is amped up a bit. So just to go over the notes a bit, this is a kind of dusty vanilla, oaky, with a little bit of smokiness. I don't like using the word smoky because it's not like smoke. There was a word I figured out the other day, and I was like, oh, that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know, man. If I remember it, I'll use it. But for now, say a little bit of smokiness. This is on the drier end of the vanillas. That's why the vanilla is kind of dusty. Whereas like By the Fireplace is super sweet. This has some sweetness to it, but it's not like that syrupy, cloying kind of deal. So this one is a total rock star when it comes to, you know, feeling cozy and cool weather. So score on Imaginary Authors, Memoirs of a Trespasser. And last but not least is Nishane, Fan Your Flames. Nishane, Nishan, Nishani. I don't know. I do this bit every time because I really don't remember. But yeah, this one came out in 2016. It is, I enjoy it. So this is, I wouldn't say polarizing, but this is a kind of hit or miss for some people because it's very mossy. They do, I feel like that's kind of like their DNA. Is like, I've smelled it in a few fragrances, is this like mossy. It kind of reminds me of the moss in Cologne, which most people seem to hate. But this opens up rather differently. You get this boozy coconut with a little bit of sweetness, and then that quickly takes a backseat to this like kind of sweet moss. And I'm with it. I'm here for it. This is not, I wouldn't say for everyone. This is probably the least like across the board safe for anyone fragrance on this list, but it's still got to be on here because I'm wearing it and I like it. And if we're not wearing fragrances for ourselves, you know, like what's the point? Why are we wearing them? You know, do it for you, frag friend. You deserve to smell good in here. Don't spray it in your mouth or anything, or up your ass. Just, you know, like in your soul, smelling good. So these are really concentrated. These are the Extrait des Parfums, and they kind of reflect that in their longevity. The whole line really hangs around for a while. This one is no exception. So if you enjoy the open, don't get, you know, married to it because it's gonna dip. It's gonna take the kids and half your shit. The open really doesn't hang out super long, but it's still a banger for the winter time because you're left with a very sweet moss that does it for me. If you're doing some couch cuddling or just trying to smell good when it's cold outside, those are some of my favorites. That's what I've been wearing. If you enjoy this video, throw me a like or subscribe to see more content. And as always, thank you so much for watching.